look, we're going to get a lot more news this week from Trian and Nelson Peltz. Last time Peltz did this, we had a huge press release, a very detailed report that they filed with the SEC under Disney's banner. We had a whole website called Restore the Magic. We have yet to see that pop back up. I expect to see that very, very, very soon. This is going to have to get out there before the earnings call, which is now about 3 weeks away from today, Wednesday, November 8th. Be here for that one. We'll be doing a live show, of course. But this is why we're going to keep track of this because, look, these articles coming out now that Nelson Peltz is really putting some pressure on Disney. And he's not going to walk away like he did a year ago. He is not going to be so easily satisfied with the bull crap or the slick Madison Avenue marketing PR that Disney's going to throw in his face to try to make him go away. He's game to that. He gave them some deference. He gave them the benefit of the doubt last year. That's not going to happen again this time. Nelson Peltz didn't walk back in buying 3 times more Disney stock that he had a year ago to just go, all right, make me go away again. No, he's in this time. He's going to get board seats, y'all. He's going to get board seats. So we just wait to see how aggressive some of the language, because we've had no real official statement from Peltz yet. We've had no real official statement from Trian yet, apart from letting it slip to certain media outlets that we have acquired a stake in Disney and that we will be looking for more board seats. That's all we know at this point. We don't know what the new list of demands are. Peltz was not interested in getting rid of Iger a year ago. That was before the Disney board renewed Iger for an additional 2 years, like we talked about earlier in the show. I don't think Peltz is going to commit to not wanting to get rid of Iger again. I don't think that will be in the language. I think he will push to have a successor found before 2027. I think he's going to want the Disney board to commit to the original timeline, which is about a year from now.
Well, let's talk about the genius of Peltz for just a moment. Mm-hmm. 2 minutes. Nelson Peltz comes in and lays down a proxy war that does not last very long at all. And the folks out there, the mainstream and the lackadaisical access media, they think that he lost because they don't understand that Bob Iger and the Disney board acquiesced to everything that Peltz was asking for, except for transparency with China. Mm-hmm. Now, one of the things that was acquiesced, what was this, 10 months ago? Is that how long it's been?
Just about
10 months ago. One of the things that was acquiesced was the dividend. Peltz Peltz likely knew that they either would struggle to fulfill that or fulfilling it at all would be so embarrassing because of what the dividend would have to be that it would place him in a stronger position. So he has bided his time. He has bought more into the company. Now, on the heels of them having acquiesced everything, he's back again. Mm-hmm. He is back again after they already caved into everything he wanted. But they're now in an even weaker position. He's leveraged even greater. And so he is now on their territory, right? They've already granted everything to him that they thought they could, and it didn't work. And now he's back stronger. So, I mean, this is genius level negotiations, and I'm looking forward to what we get out of this because I think we're going to get into higher detail exactly what he wants, and I don't think it's just 2 board seats.
Yeah, that's the big thing, right? You have to get the board seats first, though. Is that him being on a board itself is going to give him access to a lot more detailed information than what he has now. And this is why a year ago he was asking Disney to, okay, fine, then let me sit in on board meetings, allow me access to, inside corporate information. Not that he would divulge it publicly, but that he wanted to know so he could better assess his position on where Disney should be. They really didn't want to do that. I mean, they wanted to keep him as far away from the boardroom as possible. That's the key. Disney did not want him in or near the boardroom. They did suggest that they were going to give him, we'll show him some stuff. I don't know what it was, but it wasn't everything Peltz wanted. I know that much. That's not going to work this time. I don't see how Disney is going to buy him off. And I say that euphorically. I mean, euphemistically, excuse me. I don't mean to say they're going to pay him to go away, but they're going to have to find something to make him happy. I don't think Peltz is going to be happy this time without board seats. I think that's it. I don't think he's backing down on this one because there's no reason for him to, for all the reasons you just stated. Disney gave him a lot of what he wanted last year, but for that, this is the only big thing left. And then once he gets in there, he can really start putting the hammer down. It'll be interesting to see what he does. Lars Hansen for 100 Danish krona. Isn't it impossible to save Disney even with a strong booze at the top when the decay exists all the way down through the organization? With the strong boss at the top, I think is what he meant, down through the organization, even David Zaslav would fall short in that situation. Yeah, that's why Peltz has got to come in from the board level and stop being the board right now is basically just a rubber stamp for Bob Iger. Everybody on that board is somebody that Iger put in place. They will do anything and everything that Iger tells them to do, by and large, including when Bob Iger wasn't even there anymore and convinced them to get rid of Bob Chapek. That's how strong he is. If you've got 2 or 3 people on that board that are just going to flip the bird when Bob Iger walks in the room and says, no, you work for us. We don't work for you. I don't give a, no. That's going to change the dynamic in that room because right now there's nobody at that board. There's nobody at that table in those meetings that's pushing back at Bob Iger. I'm convinced of that. I don't have any inside information, but from everything that I've seen, there's not a soul up there that is pushing back against Iger because he effectively put every one of those jerks in that boardroom. They are there. He hired people to tell him yes. Look at his attitude towards Chapek. Look at the articles that we got out of CNBC, right? When they reported all the behind-the-scenes stuff, things that we told you about. We could only speculate on within reason for years, but we knew they were going on. And then we found out that Bob Iger is such a little man, such a very, very weak man driven by ego that when Bob Chapek didn't want to ask Iger's opinion on how to do things, Iger got personally insulted. How do you think he would feel about board appointees doing the same thing? He wouldn't tolerate it. Therefore, everybody on that board, that's why I say what I'm saying, everybody on that board was put there by Iger to just nod their head and tell him yes to everything. He does not like dissent. That is his dictatorial, egotistical style. That is who the man is. So they do have to change, and that's why you need a guy like Peltz in there to do it. Thundercock for 35 South African Rands Pro. You should do a video on the collapse of Star Trek merch, sales, and why there's no Kurtzman Trek licensee interest.
Well, we've done a video before on that. Actually, we've got someone out there who tracks Star Trek merchandise on one particular platform and sent us some really good info. You may have to go back and search for Star Trek on my channel to find it, but we have covered it in the past.
Indeed. I know Midnight's Edge. I think Midnight's Edge has done some stuff on that as well over the years. Mac for $5. Ironically, Iger has turned Disney into a Mickey Mouse company. Ba-dum-bum. You're not wrong. Lou Campanona for $5. My daughter is 5, and her favorite character is the Hulk. Not She-Hulk, I'm guessing. It's not about representation. It's about badass characters and good storytelling. Yes, that's it. Kids don't care. I've got 2 teenage daughters. They don't give a flying squirrel's fart about any of these Marvel characters. It does not matter. Like Brie Larson, Captain Marvel, they can't stand her. They don't see these are the girls, the 16, 17, 18-year-old teenage girls. This is exactly the target audience that Marvel wants. Because these are the people that would buy toys and go see these movies and rah-rah these things on TikTok. They don't care. They don't care about these properties. None of them whatsoever. Brian Tellish for $5 said, update the Restore the Magic the morning of the meeting. Don't give Iger the opportunity to make BS plans in advance. They can't wait till November 8th. We will definitely get something. I see what you're saying. Don't get me wrong. But we will definitely get something from Nelson Peltz and Trian long in advance of November 8th. Because the wheels for that proxy fight will already be well in motion by November 8th. Peltz is already working on that behind the scenes right now. I promise you. Rick Herrera for $5. Will Disney implement the poison pill so investors like Peltz can't own more than a certain amount of shares? Nope, because then again, Peltz does not directly own these shares. These are not Nelson Peltz's shares. We say Peltz's name a lot because he is the de facto face of Trian, because that's his company. These are the shares of the investors of Trian that Peltz manages in his company. So just like BlackRock or Vanguard or State Street or anybody else on that list, American Funds, T. Rowe Price, whatever, Invesco, they all own Disney shares. They're custodians for their clients' assets, and they're buying shares in relation to that. So no, there's not going to be a limit from that regard.
The other thing, Valiant, is the stock went up, and I'm not here to give financial advice, but the stock went up significantly after Peltz did what he's done. If Disney were to take steps after the stock went up when he made this new declaration, which is still not formalized, if Disney took steps to try to block him at this point with the market reacting positively, you would see a very negative response, I think.
Yeah, the 7% that it popped would probably be given up immediately.
Oh yeah.
And then it drop even further. This is a foregone conclusion. Peltz is going to be on this board in the next few months. I mean, short of something radically unexpected happening, or if not him, then somebody that Trian would then otherwise appoint. So, Jeremy Turner,
you think he can get multiple seats or just one?
Oh, I think he can get multiple, at least two, maybe three. Yep. It all depends on how good of a proxy fight that he can put up. If he can peel off, another slate of voters. I mean, if he's got 35 million shares of Disney now, if he can collectively peel off another 35 or 40 million votes, to where that they will check off on the ballots that they want Peltz and his people on there on the board to leap over, Michael Froman or whatever else, or some of these other goombas or these idiots that are on the board, these dorks that Iger put in there, that don't belong there to begin with, that are just useless rubber stamp yes men, then yeah, he could ostensibly get he could get the whole board if he really wanted to. It just depends on how hard he's going to fight to get that. But I think he's going to get at least two. He's got the clout to do that. I think Disney would be stupid if they don't. He's trying to put Disney in a position right now to where there effectively is no proxy fight. That Disney is going to put out a ballot to stockholders early next year around March, or whenever they put them out, February, March, ahead of the annual meeting in April. The Disney's going to put out a ballot from the board, from Disney itself, that already has two Nelson Peltz people on it, as opposed to doing like they did last year, where Peltz had to send out their own proxy ballots to fight against the official Disney one. I think Peltz wants to be on the one that Disney sends out this time versus trying to make his own, I think.
Agreed.
I think that's where he's going. So, is there an estimated timeline on Peltz's advance from Jeremy Turner? Can it come before the annual meeting if it involves board seats? No. Love y'all. Meatloaf. I love Meatloaf too. No. The board members are in there until the annual stockholder meeting, which is where the official vote tabulation will be announced. And then the new board would be sworn in shortly thereafter. So, short of a board member doing something that would force the rest of the board to eject them or something like this, breach of contract, violation of fiduciary trusts, it'd be something outrageous. But no, it's probably not going to be the case. Make sure you're subscribed to Valiant Renegade and join us every Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern for the live show.